Hi, I'm Nathan Ahern and this is my YouTube channel. And this YouTube channel is about me sharing about my successes and my failures. But it's more than that. It's also about finding other people with the spark. People who've got that twinkle in their eye. People who are up to like really epic stuff or want to be up to epic stuff or looking for a team of people who to join them and do epic stuff together. My YouTube channel is about finding those people, and there's no point saying that I want to work with people with the spark unless you know what I've done, what I'm capable of, and where I've been and where I'm going. So I share about what I've done and been and going. And this video is so far the second in the series of about 30-ish videos, maybe probably more actually. This is about the first business that I ever ran. And that business started, or at least me being involved in it started well before I became the person who was running this business. I went to university at the University of Queensland University of Technology, and I stayed in the University of Queensland at Cromwell College. That's in Brisbane, Australia. And I got there and discovered my love of hanging out with people and having a good party. And that culminated in me being voted to become the social convener with another woman. And so here I am, I'm 20 years old, I'm now the social convener, and we get pulled into the principal's office before the year had even started, and he proceeds to tell us that the Student Association is broke. Now, the Student Association was funded by students. They would pay a fee every time, when they came to college, and that would fund the Student Association. We'd run all of our sporting events, all of our other events, all of our parties, anything that we wanted to do for the year would be funded out of our Student Association fees. And the principal told me that, Stephanie, her name was, the person I worked with, that the Student Association was broke, and that unless something radical was done about it, next year the college would take over all the Student Association funds, which was news to me because I thought that the Student Association should be making a whole bunch of money. So we discovered that the Student Association owes money before we've even got our funds. And I remember sitting in his office and thinking to myself, there is absolutely no way in hell I'm going to be the guy that resulted in the Student Association being taken over by the college. Being social convener is like being the person who was responsible for the sole opportunity to make money for the Student Association for the whole year. So the social convener was responsible for organising all the parties, organising where we went out to, all of our relationships, all the clubs, the parties at college, the parties away from college. So that was our biggest expense. There'll be very large amounts of money spent on that. And then the rest of it, like things like sport and computers and other little bits and pieces like that, were paid for by the Student Association funds, but by far the largest amount of money was spent on the partying. And it was the sole opportunity to make money for the year. And the social convener, myself and Stephanie, we were co-social conveners together, was responsible for organising and managing everything about those events. We could bring in students to help us out, and we definitely made liberal use of the freshers. But that would give you a bit of background as to how big of a role this was inside of the Student Association. And we worked very, very closely with every one of the elected officials or elected students within the Student Association. Thinking to myself, there is absolutely no way in hell I'm going to be the guy that resulted in the Student Association being taken over by the college. And we looked at everything as why it didn't work. We would lose alcohol because it wasn't locked up. There was a lot, uni students love to party. People go down and take a slab of beer or 10, and the events, they weren't run as efficiently as I'd like them to be. There was just so many things that I felt like we could do better. And so we locked up the alcohol behind like double padlocks, and I implemented all these new systems around it. We completely redesigned the bars so that when someone came in, they literally walked straight at the bar. Within a few minutes, they could get a drink instead of the 10 to 15 they were currently waiting for. We didn't just give out, free drinks till the cows come home to anyone. Everyone got like a free drinks card if they were entitled to free drinks. And that was like 10, so we implemented a maximum of 10 free drinks. There was just many, oh, that's right. The other things were like, we used to get, well, at least I was when I was social media, we got given fridges and PlayStations and computers and like, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars of free drinks. Now, back in those days, you could get a spirit, a mix, say for instance, a Scotch and Coke for $1.50 Australian. I don't know if you'd get that for less than $15 now, maybe 10. So back in those days, being given hundreds and hundreds of drinks was incredible. And I set about making sure that everything we got given, we raffled to make more money for the Student Association. But the thing that really shifted my view in the world of business was before I became Social Convenor, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't really... I wanted to do something to do with people, but I wouldn't have even told you that. I just loved partying. I loved getting out with people. I loved chatting. I loved knowing what people got up to. And so I became Social Convenor, running these huge events. There might be 1,000 people come up to these events, and I just loved it. I stopped drinking. I started running these events like they were a full-blown business. And these events were just the car park. So we were in the car park of Cromwell College at the University of Queensland, and in the bunker, which was the bottom sort of, as such, like a bunker with graffiti on it from all the years of, it was proper graffiti, like we were allowed to do it. The dance floor was in there, the DJ was in there, and when you danced at this bunker, within a couple of hours there was sweat dripping from the roofs because the roof was so low and it was so hot and so full of people that the sweat would be raining down on you in the dance floor, which didn't matter anyway because you were completely saturated from sweat being on this dance floor. Like, they were really grungy parties, the sort of party I loved, the sort of party that had an edge to it, but really felt like we could do something more. So I remember, I implemented huge suction fans. I called up my dad and we organised to get some big industrial fans, and then I got them wired in so that when the party started, we'd turn these fans and it would suck all of the air out and reduce the humidity down. The bars were incredibly quick. The toilets were incredibly quick. The staff were all trained. It was all volunteers from college, so you could imagine running an event with college people working behind a bar. Trying to get them not to drink was pretty challenging. So we implemented systems so they didn't drink, and it was like a production line so that if someone ordered, there'd be someone else already had made the drink, and it would just be handed straight over the bar, and the money would change hands, because back in those days there was no tapping, it was cash. So you could we could do things like we could sell pre-purchased drinks and things like that, but trying to make sure that people didn't steal the money, didn't lose the money, didn't give away. It was just, this epic adventure. And I loved every minute of it. Like, it was in that moment, in those moments, that I realised that whatever that was that I was doing at those events, I wanted to do that. I wanted to get out and make a difference to people. I wanted to put on events that people loved. I wanted to be respectful of their time. I remember when I realised, I'm not quite sure if it was in a conversation with someone else or I worked it out myself, that if the music went off for a minute, it wasn't 1 minute, it was 1,000 1 minutes. Every person there, it was a minute of their time. And when I got that, I realised and I could see the value of impeccable customer service. And so I just went to town to taking out every little thing that could get in the way. Like I said before about the bars, we completely redesigned the bars, the toilets, the bunker, how we purchased alcohol. We get the free things because the Social Convenor would take, the college out. So you could imagine 200, young people going out was worth it to the clubs. Not only would it bring 200 people there or up to 200 people, it'd also bring other people to their clubs. They wanted us to come there, so they'd give us free stuff. And just bringing integrity into making sure that everything that we got was raffled. And I remember getting this fridge and thinking to myself, oh my goodness, this fridge that looked like a beer can, which is not particularly rare these days, but back then it was rare. The early 2000s, 22. I think I was 20. I was 20. I really wanted that fridge, but I had to raffle it. I was devastated, and I couldn't even win it. So even if I bought a ticket, I couldn't win it. That was another rule. And I could just keep going on. And I've got to tell you this. So when O Week starts, the parents all come in. So there's all the new students are coming in for O Week. So the parents come in on the Sunday, and we put on this, the college and all the student association, obviously a Social Convenor was part of a student association. We put on this lunch, for all the new students and their parents, and there's prawns and all this great food. Like nothing, we don't get anything that good the whole year. It's just put on just for the parents. And as soon as the parents go, which is 2 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever, whenever lunch was finished around then, the student association starts the party, and all the freshers, all the new kids think that this is how it's going to go. We've been super lovely to them, all this sort of stuff. So off they go. They're getting into their rooms and getting all organised, and the parents leave at about 4 or something like that. Once they've put them through through their rooms or whatever, and we all start having a party. And at whatever the time, we don't sleep that first night. There's no sleeping. That was the tradition when I was there. At whatever time in the middle of the night, my mate and I decided that it was a very good idea that I shave my head. So I had like shoulder length blonde surfy hair, blondie gingery surfy hair, and we decided that we're going to shave it. I had to do it because he wouldn't. I had to get the shaver and put it in the side. So we shaved my head completely bald, except for an inch wide patch right down the centre, and then we dyed it pitch black. So I had this mohawk about a foot long, maybe longer, in this huge punk, gelled up black mohawk. And I rock up the next day to O Week. We literally drag the kids out of their rooms, and this is O Week. O Week starts, and the adventures start, and that's how O Week started, and that's how I started being a social convener. And at the end of the year, we'd made as much money as we got that year. So we ended the year having not lost any money, but we'd purchased everything we wanted the whole year, and we had the same amount of money that we'd got given from the student association, or the funds from the students for the next year. So the incoming social convenors and the incoming student association had double the money that we had at the start of their year. And I remember chatting with the treasurer not long after the year ended, and he told me that that our year was the second year ever that the student association had made money. And I think the last time was like 30 years before or something like that. And the college has been around for, a long time. Well, at least in comparison to Australia's history. So, yeah, that's the story of how I discovered that I loved business and what I discovered from it. And I made a few mistakes. I discovered that, I always like to share my mistakes. I discovered that people don't like being held accountable, and that even I don't like being held accountable. And it really takes something to hold yourself accountable, especially when you take responsibility for creating something that really blows people's hair back. fought with a lot of people that year to bring integrity to the Social Convenor role and the Student Association and those events. And it was worth every second. I'm still doing what I did back then, the things that I loved back then today. So that's as far as I can remember. I've probably got many other things, and if I think of anything else, I'll be sure to come back and create another video. Now stay tuned. If you liked that story, if this is the sort of thing you're interested in, hit the like and the subscribe, follow along. If you're like watching this video and you think, hey, this is the guy that I want to work with, or at least I want to have a chat about, something about working with me, or that you want to ask me a question, just DM me. There'll be some links that you can access, get hold of me on. You can throw a comment down the bottom. I want this to be collaborative. That's what I'm looking for, people to collaborate with, people to do awesome stuff with. That's how I live my life, do awesome things with awesome people. So I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.